Welcome to our daily Forex market analysis, and this is for trading on February 14th, 2020. Before we get going here, happy Valentine's Day to you, and hope you are able to spend some time with your loved ones today. All right, so just a quick disclaimer here. This is for educational purposes only. Trading is a risky business, so please be careful with your money. As usual, we'll start off by taking a look at our economic calendar here. So one thing that we are seeing coming back up here are the coronavirus reports here, and there are 4,800 new cases that have been found. This is in addition to the cases that were found yesterday. So overall, there's over 16,000 cases that have been found. And in terms of the deaths, I believe there are over 1,000 deaths that have been attributed to coronavirus. 116 deaths, and total confirmed cases are actually 51,986. So the numbers here are growing. The number of deaths have grown, but the total cases have grown as well. Now, this can have a negative impact on the market, so keep an eye on that. Generally, what happens is when we have this kind of news that comes out, we see a negative impact on the equity markets, and we see Japanese yen, Swiss franc, gold and silver, all of these go up. The safe haven assets go up as a result. So keep that in mind as you're trading. And we also have another thing that happened today was in regards to the British pound. So today we saw that the UK Finance Minister Sajid Javid actually resigned. And the reason for that resignation was that Prime Minister Johnson had asked him to fire all his people. And instead of doing that, he actually resigned himself. And in his place, now we have Rishi Sunak, and he will be the new finance minister. So basically, after this, we saw a big jump in British pound because the expectation now is that Prime Minister Johnson will get his way. And what Prime Minister Johnson is trying to do is spend more money on infrastructure and also doing tax cuts and things like that. So overall, we saw a big jump in British pound because of this extra spending that will come into the market, which is likely to boost the UK economy. All right, so let's take a look at the actual news coming out here. So we do have, on Friday, we have preliminary German GDP numbers for the quarter. And then we also have trade balance numbers here for the Eurozone. With the trade being so important these days, if the numbers are below expectation here, it will have a negative impact on Euro, which is already quite low at this point. We also have retail sales numbers out of the US. So these numbers are very important because they show what kind of economic activity went on in the country. And with the retail numbers, if we see that they're below expectations, then we're likely to see the US dollar drop here. And coming up here, we do also have a bunch of data here, preliminary consumer sentiment numbers, as well as capacity utilization rate from the US. So keep an eye on the US dollar. We could see some volatility in the US dollar as a result. So let's move on to our charts here. We'll start off with euro dollar. Euro has been dropping nonstop. So today we saw a further drop in euro because of the buying that went into British pound. So generally when we see buying in British pound, there is selling in the euro. So euro pound tends to drop, but also the euro drops as a result as well. So we have seen that drop. Now bias is still bearish. We have a nice bearish candle close here. And in terms of the pullback here, we could get a pullback into 1.0865 area. So keep an eye on that. And in terms of our target here, We are looking at, first one is fairly close, 1.0820, and then second one is 1.0765 level. So bias here is bearish for euro dollar. Pound dollar here, like we just talked about, we saw a big move up in British pound because of the positive sentiment created by the UK finance minister resigning, because now Prime Minister Johnson will be able to spend the money that he wants to. With this, and we got a big run up as a result of this. So bias here is bullish. Now, keep in mind, this one is into resistance. So price had dropped from this level previously. Now, there is a lot of positive sentiment in British pound at this point, but do keep an eye on this, because if price is not able to move to the other side, we could see a drop. So overall bias is bullish for British pound. In terms of pullback, we could look at 1.2990 or 80 level, and then a further move from there. So bias is bullish, and first target is a 1.3070, and then 1.3150, and above that we have 1.3200. So overall bias is bullish for pound dollar. Aussie dollar here, we had talked about this yesterday. If the price stayed below 0.6750, we would see a drop. So we got that. Now bias is bearish. Keep in mind though, it is coming into support. It's into the support here. So we do need to see a break below this support for it to continue. But the price has been trading in this range. So I'm looking for price to continue lower towards 0.6660. So bias here is bearish for Aussie dollar. New Zealand dollar here, this one dropped as well. It wasn't able to go through the resistance level here, and we are back into this range. So bias is bearish here. And again, I'm looking for a further move to the downside towards the bottom of this range, and target is 0.6380. So bearish bias for New Zealand dollar. Dollar CAD here, we did have a bearish candle close yesterday, but price wasn't able to go through this support level, and we saw a move higher. So now it's at an interesting point here. This is our support resistance level. Price has tested this level several times. So if it doesn't go through 1.3270, it can go back again. So we could see a further move higher here, and then a move down from there, or it could just drop from here. So keep that in mind. So this move up may not be completely as bullish as one would expect. So here, my bias is neutral. I am looking for a move back into 1.3280, and there we could see price drop into 1.3235. So at this point, let me just draw the move. This is kind of what I'm expecting. So if it holds below 1.3280, looking for it to drop back down towards 1.3235. So neutral bias here for dollar CAD. Let's take a look at our commodities now. We'll start off with silver. We have seen a turn in silver. We do have a bullish candle close. So now again, we'll have to see how the markets react to the coronavirus news. If there is a risk-off environment, then we are likely to see silver go up as it's a safe haven asset. So in that case, I would look for a move to the upside here. Target is 17.85, and then next target above that is 18. So bullish bias for now, but do keep an eye on the sentiment of the market. If we go back into the risk-on environment and equities move up, silver is going to drop. Gold here, this one has moved up as well for the same reason. There were concerns around the coronavirus, which pushed the safe haven assets up. So bias here is bullish. It is into resistance. So if it doesn't go through here, it could drop. So keep that in mind. This is where price has been trading for some time now. It's been stuck in this range. So if it breaks out, I'm looking for 15.0 15.90 as the first target and 15.93 as the second target. So bias here is bullish, but just be cautious here. Oil here, oil is still within that range that it's been trading in for over a week now. At this point, it's holding below this 52 level. If it stays below 52, I will look for a move back towards 49.450. So at this point, bias is neutral for oil. Copper here, copper has moved up. It is into resistance now, and this is where price had turned previously. This is an important support resistance level. So if price stays below 2.58, I will look for a drop back towards 2.54 and then potentially lower into 2.52. So for now, as long as price stays below 2.58, we could see a drop. But if it does cross that level, then we are looking for a further move up towards 2.60. So bias here is neutral for copper. Bitcoin here couldn't make it through the resistance and we have seen a drop. So this one is looking bearish here. In terms of the target, we are looking for 10,000 as the first target and then 9680 as the second target. So bias here is bearish for Bitcoin. S&P 500, we did see price drop, but then it pulled back all the way. So with this one, my bias is to the downside, but just be careful with this one. If price gets above 3380, it can go back and go even higher. So I would just be cautious with all these equity markets because it's been a one-way street for quite some time here. So there's hardly been any sort of pullbacks here. It's just been one-way street here, like I said. So bias here, actually let's make it neutral, because if it doesn't hold below 3380, it is going into 3400, and then I would look for 3420 as the next target there. So neutral bias for S&P 500. Let's take a look at Nasdaq here. Same thing. Price came into this support at 95.20, but held above that, and it pushed higher from that. So at this point, still looking quite bullish here. And if it holds above 9600, it's likely to go higher. So here I'm again neutral, because waiting to see what sort of impact we see from the coronavirus news. If it doesn't, if the markets just ignore it, then I would be looking for a move higher here. So overall bias is bullish, but today we are neutral. And then we have Dow Jones. This one has dropped, still holding above this 29,280 level. So at this point, if it holds above this level, we could still see this one go higher. So again, a neutral bias here. And this is what I'm looking for, a pullback potentially into 29,280, and then we could see a further move towards 29,680. So neutral bias here for Dow Jones as well. And then we have DAX here, this one as well. We saw a drop and then price went all the way up. So again, neutral bias, it hasn't gone through the high here. However, if the market ignores the news, like I said, it is likely to go up. So 13,800 would be the next target, and then 13,950 would be the second target. For now, though, bias is neutral. And what could happen is we could see a drop and then a further move higher. So as long as it stays above 13,620, this one would look bullish. And then we have Footsie. Footsie actually dropped, and this one had to do with the news here that we got around UK finance minister. So at this point, this one is actually looking bearish, but as we can see, it is into support, and this is where price has kind of bounced around from here. So what I would look for is if price holds above 7,400, this one can go back up again. But should we see a drop right through there, we are looking at 73.50 and potentially into 72.90 level. So at this point, it is bearish, but again, just be cautious. If it stays above 7,400, this one could go higher. Last but not least here, we have Nikkei. Nikkei is still holding below this 24,000 level. And now it's into this support level at 23,500. And this is where it's been range bound for the last several days here. At this point, I would like to see if it would drop through this level. If it drops, then I'm looking for a further move to the downside towards 23,000. But should it hold above here, so we haven't seen much of a reaction from all the new cases that came out for coronavirus. It has dropped a little bit, but not any sort of a major impact here. So market could just ignore that news, which means we could see a drop towards 23,500, but it could just hold above and then go back towards the top of the range. So bias here is also neutral, but if it goes through 23,500, if it breaks through that to the downside, then I will look for 23,300 and then 23,120. So overall here, bias is neutral for Nikkei as well. So that's all I have. You guys have a wonderful trading day and happy Valentine's Day again. And I will see you on Sunday for the weekly analysis. Bye for now.